Today on Rock the Park.
Ooh, man, do you see that?
It's man against mountain, and the mountain wins.
This is so crazy.
The wind is just going nuts.
It's our first trip to Mount Rainier.
I don't know if it gets any better than this.
And who better to show us around?
I never get tired of looking at this mountain.
She's kind of a big deal.
Ooh, man! Ready to dive in?
It all starts right now. I'm Jack Stewart.
And I'm Colton Smith. We've been buddies for years, and we love exploring the national parks.
It's all about packing up a car and just doing it. Just hitting the road.
Our goal is to visit every national park in this country.
And when you go off the beaten path like we do,
there's no telling what will happen next.
Get set to rock the park. We're in Washington State, making our way to one of the world's most massive volcanoes. On a clear day, you can see Mount Rainier from Seattle. It dominates the skyline for more than 100 miles in every direction.
So we're at Mount Rainier National Park, and this is going to be a pretty special trip for us.
And it's our first time here, so we've got a lot to explore.
Mount Rainier is the highest mountain in the Cascade Range, and the park is about halfway between Seattle and Portland, Oregon.
This park is dominated by Mount Rainier, but there's so much more that makes it so incredibly diverse.
You've got tons of lakes, streams, and of course those lush forests that Washington State's known for.
And 25 glaciers.
Those glaciers make Mount Rainier the most ice-packed peak in the lower 48 and one of the most dangerous to climb. Half the people who attempt Mount Rainier turn back before reaching the summit, and more than 100 climbers have died on this mountain.
We've climbed mountains, glaciers, and even volcanoes. But before we tackle Rainier, we need to do a practice run. Later today, we'll have the pleasure of hiking Rainier with a woman who knows this mountain better than most.
I'm Jack.
Jack.
Sally Jewell is Secretary of the Interior. She runs the government agency that manages all of America's national parks.
She's kind of a big deal. And she's actually agreed to come out hiking with us.
Mount Rainier is mostly wilderness, from ancient forests of hemlock and fir to meadows of wildflowers, and of course, those awesome glaciers. If you only have one day, a scenic drive is one way to pack a lot in.
It's the best way to just check out the park, but also to see some wildlife.
The forests are home to the red fox. They come in a lot of different colors and are opportunistic feeders, which means they'll eat just about anything. One of our favorite birds is the northern spotted owl, which lives in the old-growth forests. Unfortunately, the spotted owl is listed as threatened under the Endangered Species Act, and its numbers continue to dwindle because of habitat loss and competition from the barred owl. This morning, we're stopping at Paradise on the southwest side of the park, which is famous for its incredible views of the mountains and wildflower meadows. But right now, we're clouded in by fog. This is the jumping off point for the Skyline Trail, where we're gonna be meeting up with Sally Jewell and eventually going on to Camp Muir, the main base camp for climbers on their way to the summit.
I decided to bring out the trekking poles today. On these ultra steep trails, they give you that extra little kick to propel yourself forward up the mountain.
Right now, we're not seeing much of anything. The entire mountain is covered in fog.
There's 25 glaciers here in the park, and a handful of them are right up here on the mountain slopes. If the fog would just burn off, we'd get to see them all.
Our goal is 4.5 miles away with a whopping elevation gain of nearly 4,700 feet and a snowfield that makes up the last 2 miles of the climb.
It's crazy not being able to see more than 20 feet in front of you, especially when you know Mount Rainier is right up there somewhere.
After more than an hour on the mountain, we get our first good look at where we are.
Do you see that?
Oh my gosh!
Oh, wow. I had no idea it was there that whole time.
I had a feeling it was. We've been climbing and climbing.
That is seriously one of the most spectacular views I've ever seen in my life.
And as we look up the trail, we spot Sally Jewell just ahead.
Hi, Sally.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good.
Welcome to my home mountain.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you can't pick a better spot to meet.
It's kind of going behind the clouds again, and it's gonna pop back out, but I never get tired of looking at it. It changes every time I'm here.
I know. You get that first view and it just stops you dead in your tracks.
Isn't it something?
Born and raised in Seattle, Sally's the real deal when it comes to the national parks. She's actually summited Mount Rainier 7 times.
I've tried to get up to the summit 10 times. And I will say this, that being on the summit's great. You kind of learn more from your failures than your successes.
Yep.
Don't we know it? Nature is unpredictable, and half the fun is learning how to adapt and living in the moment. Coming up, our hike with Sally Jewell continues.
On the summit, underneath the crater at the top, are ice caves.
Wow.
And later, Mother Nature comes a-knocking
The wind is just going nuts.
and gives us a sleepless night on the mountain.
This has got my heart pumping way more than anything we hiked today. I can tell you that right now.
We're in Washington State on the slopes of Mount Rainier, where we've just met up with Sally Jewell, the Secretary of the Interior. For a couple of guys who love the national parks, meeting a kindred spirit is pretty cool.
You came here when you were 4.
Yeah.
And it obviously left an impression on you. To now, you have taken that passion so far. That is so incredible.
It did start right here for me. And it started with a sense of wonder. You grow up kind of in the shadow of Mount Rainier and you kind of yearn to climb it someday. And I did that as a teenager and looking out for each other and, you know, being safe and being in danger sometimes. You know, it's an experience that really shapes you. It also helped me understand how awesome nature is.
Yeah, we could hear as we were walking up the ice cracking off.
Oh yeah, you're seeing the glaciers continue to move. I mean, they're in constant movement. And those are called seracs. These big chunks of ice that fall. And then the rock falls too. It can be kind of dangerous.
During the summer, the glaciers start to melt, and that can produce debris flows or avalanches that surge down the mountain. And sometimes, heavy winds can set off an avalanche.
This is a really young mountain, as mountains go. And it's a volcano, and so it's changing, it's eroding. So everything we're seeing here is volcano.
Nowhere is that more obvious than at the summit.
I mean, there's steam coming out. You can burn your hands, even on a super cold day.
Oh, wow.
There's caves up there on the summit. Underneath the crater at the top are ice caves.
Okay, we're sold. One more reason we'll definitely be back to summit Mount Rainier someday.
What do you see as the future of these places? Like, how do we get people inspired to come out here to make sure that we have the proper tools to preserve these awesome parks?
You know, seeing is believing and being out here, and you can't get it just from a picture. You know, one of the things that's happening with kids today is they're spending a lot of time in front of a screen, so they're not exploring. How are they ever gonna feel comfortable coming to a place like this or even knowing a place like this exists? So we got something super cool that started in 2015 to 16 school year, and that's called Every Kid in a Park.
Yeah.
So if you're in 4th grade, you can get a free pass for yourself and your entire family to go to every national park and every public land that the federal government owns in the entire United States of America for free for your entire 4th grade year. And our hope is that in 12 years' time, you've got every kid in a park, and they have these kinds of real-life experiences, and they're gonna teach their kids. And they'll care about these places so that places like this are gonna get the kind of protections they need.
I've kind of got this theory. First visit, you want more.
Yeah.
Second visit, you're hooked. Third visit, you care. And that's when you start to actually say, you know what? These places are incredible and I want them to stick around.
Yeah.
You can start whenever. You
Anytime.
know, you are never too late. It took me till I was 20 to come for the first time. And at the end of the day, you're gonna keep coming back. And then you start caring about it. You just gotta put your foot through the door and climb.
I guess what's so important is they're public lands. They're owned by all Americans. So we want everybody to feel welcome here.
Before we know it, we've covered at least another mile. But duty calls, and Sally's got to head back to Seattle for a meeting. She has one last bit of advice for the day we return to summit the mountain.
Come early enough in the season And be prepared to turn around and try and do it another day if the weather's bad, because that happens a lot too. So just be safe, live to climb another day, and you know what? Let me know when you're going. Maybe we can do it together.
Awesome. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This was so much fun.
Great day.
Yeah, amazing day.
Have fun.
All right, bye.
Thanks, guys. All right, see ya.
Now it's just us, and an awful lot of climbing still left.
We still have 2 miles to go, and it's straight up through a snowfield.
Every step we take, we're kicking in our feet and hoping we don't slip.
Hiking through snow is slow going. Hiking through snow uphill, brutal.
Whew, all right. We made it.
Camp Muir. Oh,
Wow, that was steep.
starting off hiking on the rocks, just in the complete fog. And then by the end of the day, we are up at Camp Muir. Look at the view.
At an altitude of over 10,000 feet, the views from here are amazing. We can see Washington's other major peaks, Mount St. Helens and Mount Adams, as well as Oregon's Mount Hood. Camp Muir is the last stop on the way to the summit, and climbers pitch their tents here to rest up for the final push.
Pitching a tent in snow is completely different than any other sort of environment. You can't just stake it in. You gotta use what you have, whether it's ice or rocks to keep it down. Right now, it's looking pretty good.
I don't know if it gets any better than this. We've talked about the moments where you just want to stop and soak in what's around you. This is where you take that deep breath.
Little did we know, this sunset would be our last moment of peace on this mountain. Mother Nature is about to throw us a curveball.
The wind is just going nuts.
This is so crazy.
We're at Camp Muir, more than 10,000 feet up on the slopes of Mount Rainier, trying to get some sleep when suddenly the wind picks up.
I don't know if we were really prepared for 60-mile-an-hour winds, and that's what we're getting slammed with right now.
The wind is just going nuts.
This is so crazy.
We're on the side of a massive mountain on top of a giant glacier. You mix that in with the wind,
This has got my heart pumping way more than anything we hiked today. I can tell you that right now.
we have no idea what to do. We've got it staked down, tied with rocks, slammed into the ice. We're kind of out of materials at this point.
It's 3 a.m., and at this point, our goal is to make it to sunrise.
The sun is up, and so are we. We lasted through the night. The wind is still pounding, it's still chaotic, but hey, here we are, about to head down from Camp Muir.
This is a good lesson on how brutal this mountain can be. After a careful descent, we are more than happy to set off on what we hope will be a more mellow day.
We're gonna just hike out into the mountains, check out a few lakes. We're Minnesotans, we love lakes. So by the end of today, I'm hoping to be able to swim in one of these things.
Our trail starts at Sunrise Point at an elevation of 6,400 feet. It's the highest point you can reach by car.
All right, we are setting off on the Palisades Lake Trail.
It's about 3.5 miles, and it's got beautiful lakes, mountains, maybe a couple hidden gems in there as well.
The Palisades are a group of rocky cliffs created by ancient lava flows. They're a great place to spot pikas, tiny little creatures related to the rabbit family. Pikas are adapted to the cold and can easily die from overheating when temperatures exceed 70 degrees, so they must go higher and higher in the mountains as temperatures rise.
One thing that's great about starting these hikes deep in the mountains is your views are spectacular straight from the get-go. And you know what? Here's our first lake.
Sunrise Lake is only a half-mile from the trailhead. It's the first in a series of subalpine lakes, which are mountain lakes that sit just below the timberline.
One thing that's really cool about Mount Rainier National Park is 97% of the park is designated wilderness. Now, it is really important to stick to the trail, and especially right now, we're seeing a dry spell. Stepping off trail, you might be damaging some really fragile plants, and vegetation.
Ooh, you see this?
This might look like a hiking trail, but it's not. So many people have gone off trail here, they've killed off the vegetation.
These are social trails. If the park doesn't have a sign near one, it's not a place you should be.
So when we see these mistakes, rangers have recommended we try to block access so future hikers know to avoid the path.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Right in the middle.
All right, locked off there.
Back on the real trail.
We're on the lookout for wildlife because mountain lakes often attract animals who need to hydrate.
Ooh, whoa, whoa. We got scat of some sort.
You're the scat man.
I am the...
What's your assessment?
I don't know. A bigger animal, though, definitely.
Now we know that they're out here, so we're gonna keep an eye open for something. Elk, bears, whatever. Ooh, you know what? Those are some big elk tracks. Oh yeah. One of the things we're trying to do is to keep wildlife wild here. So we're gonna do our best to be quiet and hopefully we see them, but at a nice distance.
Scan mode.
Ooh, do you see that way down there?
That might be our elk.
Oh man.
We know this is a female elk because she doesn't have antlers. Only the male bulls do. Elk are some of the largest mammals living in the park, weighing between 400 and 1,100 pounds. In the summer, elk wander between the forests, meadows, and mountains and eat mostly grasses.
Now,
That's a success.
we can keep doing our thing.
All right.
Hike on?
Yep.
Back on our way, a fork in our path leads to our final destination, and one last wake-up call from Mount Rainier.
Ooh, man!
We're in Mount Rainier National Park, enjoying our last day here when we spot the side trail we've been looking for.
Hidden Lake.
All right, I'll let you lead the way.
Thank you. Anything that's got hidden on it piques my interest.
Yeah.
So to get to Hidden Lake, it's a 0.6 mile straight uphill section into a little saddle where the lake is resting. Oh yeah, man, look at this. Oh, wow.
Hidden Lake is high in the mountains and is fed by snowmelt. So in other words,
Oh my gosh, that's cool.
I thought we were gonna have that classic summer moment where you just run into the lake, but we're going as fast as a snail right now.
Oh man!
Because it's just so cold.
1, 2, 3.
I don't know why I always jump into these lakes when he does. My feet are already numb. Jack's gonna keep swimming. Woo! That's enough for me.
well, that was exhilarating. This entire trip has been awesome, starting off with the strenuous climb of Mount Rainier and hiking with Sally Jewell. It was so cool to come out to Mount Rainier with her, the first park she ever visited.
She works with the president. And here we are sharing this amazing day out on the mountain and just talking about how much we love these places. That was so cool.
And then just ended in an all-out battle against Mother Nature.
That was one of the craziest nights of camping we've ever had.
Easily. I wasn't sure if we were gonna make it in that tent. What do we do if this thing does blow away? But you know what? We held strong. We got that thing fastened up and hey, we made it.
We just probably shouldn't tell Sally about the whole tent thing last night.
No, she wouldn't like that.
Our first trip to Mount Rainier National Park has been full of adventure.
We wanted to leave with a memory.
I think we got it.
We did.
We're also leaving inspired to return, and next time it'll be to summit the mountain. Because now we know.
There's a lot of steps out here.
There are, but you know what? If we can do it,
So can you.
So the next chance you get, go out and rock the park.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Make sure to leave any questions or comments that you have.
And please subscribe to the channel. There's a lot more to come.